Domingo is kind of like my coach, my mentor. We just made a lot of progress today. I not only got my Mac Pro M1, but I also met a driver a while back that's now my coach. Domingo said I don't have to tell you it's Supinco.
When I go to the Comic-Con in Chicago, let's hope the other artists would be intrigued and would like to talk to me instead of it's a confrontation. So.
Yeah. What is really important to communicate, ask questions, listen, because you hear different points of view. This person that's going to interview you from Channel 7, you've never met them before?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Yes.
But they're not a friend?
I would say pretty much a good friend. No?
Okay, cool.
We have the same, as far as, we had a great conversation about how he came up in high school. Well, he was the same as me coming up in high school, like he was different. And other classmates seen him as different because he's more into his art, what he wants to do, and he has his mind, he's his own person. And I think I've had some great classmates, but we just didn't see eye to eye on certain things. And when you do something totally different, where I'm from, it's a very small community. And
Where are you from?
From Louisiana, Wolves.
Oh, wow. Deep South?
Deep South.
Now, what was happening there as far as like the whole civil rights? What does it say?
These characters are called they're called the Trojans. Trojans. The deadly creations of the Korsh. The Korsh are the villains of the story.
Oh.
They're intergalactic evil scientists.
So this is like a storybook too.
Yes, story. Yes, it's the best.
So it's like a comic storybook.
Yes.
Text.
Yes.
Pictures.
Of course. These mother characters.
Now, is there light and dark?
Of course.
Have you studied Joseph Campbell before?
No, I've heard of him.
Oh, if you're into this stuff, he has this idea of mythology. Have you heard of Star Wars?
Yes, he's the one. Yes, young lady.
George Lucas.
Yes, a young lady. Matter of fact, that's a big influence as far as in this story as well.
Yeah.
George Lucas has been a big influence.
Well, see, George Lucas's mentor, teacher was Joseph Campbell.
Wow.
And you can go to the library with just a free library card and just go down to the Central Library and go to the video section. There's videos, all kinds of videos on Joseph Campbell. And I've studied him too. Grateful Dead, George Lucas, all of them. See, it's called The Hero's Journey. And the idea is it's an ordinary person, like you and I being an ordinary person, and you run into an obstacle, it seems like it's going to stop you. And there's usually romance or fair maiden. And then what happens is this ordinary person runs into this obstacle where they could quit, but they decide to push through it. And then often the fair maiden rejects this hero. It's like Star Wars mythology. And what happens is, well, anyway, my point is, this is called the hero's journey. And Joseph Campbell is the one that came up with this framework. And all the modern movies follow this framework in one shape or form. All the romantic comedies, all the romantic films, all the action heroes, everything follows this. There's a structural tension, they call it. At the end, the hero pushes through all this and he usually ends up being with the woman at the end, so on and so forth. It's called the hero's journey. And Joseph Campbell talks about all this. And it's based on Buddhism, Hinduism, all the different major religions that Joseph Campbell calls mythology. It's this idea that we live as human beings to tell stories, to live in communication, like you and I talking, and that it's happened forever. In fact, Joseph Campbell had a heart attack and died while he was completing his book.
Wow.
It's this idea that with Buddhism, it's an evolutionary thing, that your body may die, but your intention and your desire and all your art and all your communication continues in one form or another. So that's why it's really important to have photography and books and communication.
Anyway, I about 3 weeks ago, after a friend of mine said to me that you could probably make some movies using iMovie on your iPhone. And I thought, really? I can really do that? And to backpedal a little bit, I don't have any videos. I had some videos with Brazil. Sylvia and I videotaped our whole entire time together. And this was back when we had dial-up, and I had videos of Brazil, but I no longer have those. I have pictures and a lot of memories from Japan, but I didn't create any like iMovie type of pictures or videos when I went to Japan. I did some lives. As many of you know that I visited, I would just turn the camera on, let the camera roll, and so I thought I would experiment with iMovie, and it was like the iMovie muse or the iMovie spirit like took over. I'm serious. It's like it said to me, "It's about time you showed up. I'm ready to rock and roll."
So okay, just make sure the door closes. They put the gold dome in 1908. So that's the official completion date's 1908. So from 1886 to 1908, that's the 22 years.
I can see it's been a long time.
Yeah, you can see this, but this is, I mean, they've repainted it, of course. This is,
Yeah, that's a time.
yeah. But this is some of the same stuff that's been in here for over 100 years.
Well, now how did you get interested in doing this job?
Well, actually, I'm a hospitality major at Metropolitan St. Thomas Denver, just down the street from us.
I just like asking people.
Oh yeah, and they had a position for students to give the historical tours of the Capitol. And I've always loved state history, so it's exactly what I.
And so you kind of fell into it. How long have you been doing it now?
Since mid-May, and I do it until August 10th. They hired 2 other college students as well.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm up here one day a week. The rest of the week, I give the historical tours.
Now, do you have any? You know, I was at the Columbine shooting with ABC News, and a lot of media people said they got interested in media because of studying history.
Yeah.
And I've studied civil rights movement, Vietnam War, and I'm almost 54 years old. And I'm finally getting interested in politics and history, and I find this
Politics
stuff.
have always interested me. It has history, but it's not necessarily my first hospitality ones. I wouldn't.
Hospitality. Now, is a hotel management? Because I was actually a limo driver too. So.
Oh yeah. So you've done everything.
Yeah, I've done everything, and now you kind of. I feel like with Destiny, things kind of synthesize and come together, and you kind of take all the ingredients. You go, well, what is this all about? You kind of put it together.
Yeah, definitely.
And you just have it during the summer months or the winter too?
No, the whole year.
Oh, that's good. I've got to start coming out.
That way school kids can come. It's just a disappointing if they come up on a day like today where they can't see, because some days you can see really clear.
The mountains.
Yeah. Most days, this is the least visibility I can remember.
That must be magnificent when it's crystal
Oh, yeah.
clear and you can see
But some
the
days you can see Pikes Peak real clear.
Oh, is that right?
And when I bring my binoculars, you can actually see the top of DIA
Oh, really?
on most days even. But today it's so bad.
Hello everyone, I got my scruffy beard and everything, you know, it's kind of growing in, and, you know, it's kind of, I'm weird so many different ways, you know, I admit it, I'm weird. After all, I said this in another video, just think about it, just really think about how many ways I'm weird. First of all, I really go back and forth, you know, I shave, my mom even says, she goes, one time you don't have a beard, another time you shave your head and your face and you look like a Buddhist monk, and another time you have a beard. You just can't figure out how you want to look. And she's right. You know, I like variety, so, you know, I can make a variety on these movies because, you know, I can go a a frame where I look like this, and another frame I'm bald and clean shaven in an instant second, in a millisecond. Zip. But I can't do it in real life, you know. It takes me a while to grow my beard, but you know, I'm starting to feel like I like myself with a beard. Do you know why? Because I'm just authentically me. You know, I'm not trying to be young. You know, some people tell me how, oh, the cool guy I just met, you know, with WRX last night. That was cool. He was a really cool dude. I really liked him. And I just showed him my movies, and he said, "You're real intelligent, you know. You should buy yourself a truck." Oh, by the way, just a side thing. I don't know if it's going to happen. Up-to-date kind of thing. My life is so synchronistic right now, too. Listen to this. If I really want to, of course, I've talked to my friend Robert. I'll explain this really slow. So if I talk really fast and I tell about my life, you, the subscriber, or you, the viewer, especially if you don't know me or have never met me, of course, you know, here's the other weird thing. Mike is my collaborator. He's been with me, you know, since the beginning of this channel, but we still haven't met either. You know, he's a little bit like I don't know, he's a little bit like, yeah, I don't know, that's weird in itself if you think about it. In fact, if you really think about it, it's really weird. I mean, everything is weird, but weird doesn't mean it's bad. You know, okay, let me ask you, when you think of weird, what's the first thing that pops up besides me? You know, weird. You think maybe crazy or insane, or, you know, maybe not. But, you know, I think Stephen Jobs said you got to be one of the weird ones, you know. So I don't think it was a bad thing. But anyway, I love having Mike as a collaborator. I owe a lot to Mike. I couldn't even download a video, and then I went like all this time until just a few days ago when I finally figured it out. It was just a setting on my phone. That's really dumb, dude. I know. It was just a setting on my phone. It went like 2 months of racking my brain, and had to pass videos on to Mike, and then he had to go take it to YouTube and put the thumbnail and the title in, and I paid him all this money primarily just to do that in one Zoom call on Sunday. Dude, you're so dumb, man. No, I'm not, man. Yeah, you are, man. You could have just done that yourself this whole 90 days. You didn't have to have Mike do all that. Just because you had a bad setting on your phone, and you could have watched some videos on how to do a thumbnail. And what's going on with you? Well, I know, I'm okay. No, I'm not weird, man. No, I think you're really weird. No. So, hold on. Stop. I don't have to stop. No, I'm right in the middle of trying to be serious, dude. Now, come on. Now, I'm honestly not weird. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Shoot. Gosh, I'm trying to be serious here. Anyway, let's get back on the course here. Okay, here's the deal. Another reason why I'm weird. So many different reasons. How many people sit in front of a camera by themselves in a truck on almost every spare moment on top of a 70-hour work week, talking to themselves, and then posting onto a YouTube channel where I have 9 subscribers. 9 subscribers, man. I know. 9. And the views, man. Sometimes you have like 5 views and 4 of them are you watching your own video. Oh, man. No, I know. It is crazy. I know. But let me get back on point. Now I got completely distracted by all this chatter. I was just gonna tell everyone that, you know, everyone has like limiting beliefs and like a voice in their head, you know. I know, I'm in your head, dude. I know, shut up, man. Anyway, I'm gonna get back on purpose here. I'm in Spokane, Washington, and I wanted to tell you about this guy with his WRX. So I'm sitting in my truck. It was in a parking lot, just kind of like this, you know, sitting in, and it was right next to Ernie's truck stop in Kent, Washington, about 200 miles from here. And I was looking out, you know, straight out like right here, and I was right in the middle of really focusing on the movie. And he comes walking. No, first I saw his car, his WRX go zzz, 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 and I thought at first when he walked up to my he's a black guy, and I thought he was going to walk up to my car, my truck. Actually, it's not a car. I just remembered he's going to watch this video. I'm going to say this in the most respectful way. Oh, I told him last night. At first, when he walked up my car, I thought he was going to say, "Dude, I just can't turn that camera off. I didn't want you filming my car going by your truck." But he's like knocking on my window, and he's trying to explain that he'd like to switch places. He has his truck over a few places, and he wants me to simply, when this big flatbed comes later, it needs two parking spaces, and that he wanted me to simply move my truck, swap, go park where he was parked, to leave room for this flatbed. In fact, there's another one. Oh my God! I think no, it couldn't be the same flatbed. I don't think so. No, it's not the same flatbed. But it was one just like the one over here. Just like this one. Just like this one here. But it's off in the distance. Polite. And he said, "I'll pay you $10." And he was. So that's how our conversation. And frankly, I was a little bit, because when I really make these videos, you know, it might seem like a complete space cadet, and I am on a certain level. But I really get into character. I'm not even the same person I am in real life, you know. I feel like I'm an actor, you know, like on set. And I know this sounds really weird. It sounds weird to me as I'm talking about it. You know, I'm not even like a actor. You know, and this isn't a real movie, but, you know, I hold the camera, and all of a sudden the dude comes out, you know. And I start talking weird, you know, and it's like, I start feeling like I turn into a different person on camera, you know. I don't know if it's true. I feel like I'm the same person, but somehow I'm like, I go into like character, you know. And this whole story just starts manifesting on YouTube. And the weird thing is, it's not even a movie. I mean, there's nobody really watching. It's not in the theaters. I don't have a director. I don't have a lighting. I'm not getting paid $10 million to act as the dude, you know. And the closest thing I have to a director is Mike at a distance, and we haven't even met. In fact, we don't even talk on the phone. We just do voice messaging. Not even voice messaging. Well, yeah, we do voice messaging, but mostly just messages or voice message. "Hey, Doug, my location. I'm working on a tire right now. How are you doing?" You know, we have these like messages. That's what's going on, you know. And then once a week we talk on a Zoom call, you know. So and we haven't met. We're gonna meet for real. Who knows? It could be like. I thought about this the other day. I know this is getting really long already, but I don't care. I'm sitting around talking to myself, and you're not even here. I'm here, but kind of not here, because this persona comes in there, and then a whole and voices, and that sound. I don't even know how I started doing that, but the inner voice said, "You know what that is?" I'm like, and I go, "What's that? Why do I even do that?" And it says, "Well, it's your anchor, dude." What do you mean, my anchor? Well, Anthony Robbins says you gotta, you know, when you watch when you watch Dave Wood video, I can show it to you right now, dude. He's like doing a whiteboard presentation, and he starts breathing, and he starts going, you know, watch him. He does this anchor thing. It's a Tony Robbins anchor. So he closes his eyes, and he starts breathing. He goes snapping his fingers. It's an anchor. This is your anchor, dude. What you just do is, you don't have to do all that stuff. You just go, that's your anchor.
By your unconscious mind. So it's important stuff. Good to see you guys. Of course, this is Dave Wood, and I'm outside my house in Costa.
Really? Yeah, that's your anchor, dude. Why do you think you do it so naturally? I never really thought about it that way. Really? You mean like Dave Wood's little anchor before he does a whiteboard presentation talking about doing the ideal video? I mean, mine is that simple? Yeah, that's it. Hey, this is a continuation of the video. I have the truck running. I don't know if you hear the air conditioning. It's still daylight. I tried to film. I said this earlier. I'm trying to improve, okay? And I watch my own videos. And so there's a couple of ways I think I can improve. And I am doing it now. It may not be perfect, but number one, I'm doing more talking videos like this when the truck is stationary and it's daylight versus nighttime. Because I normally on a load or my work life driving a truck, I may not have lots of time, but I do have time. You know, for example, I'm required to take a 30-minute break within the first 8 hours. 30 minutes is a long time. So that still gives me enough time to go use the restroom, grab a cup of coffee, whatever, and come back to the truck. That usually takes about 7 to 10 minutes maybe. So technically every single day, most of the time in the morning, I have 30 minutes that I can sit and do a video like this in daylight, most of the time. There are times I drive at night, but if I drive at night, I'm sitting during the day, so I can find some time during my break, right? Okay, that's number one. Number two, I did notice when I was watching my video, and Dave Wood even does that. I watch a lot of my old Dave Wood videos, and I thought he was a phenomenal speaker, but let me be on track with it. At the very beginning of this video, I said, I want to share what just happened, okay? And then I went off on another tangent. I didn't share with you what happened, so this is really important, and I don't know if it's going to manifest, but I apologize. I do watch my movies, and I start one thing, and then I go off on another thing, and never get back to the original thing. To tell you the truth, there's a lot of people that do that, and I want to explain. I want to not get off on track, but I'll promise to talk about what I'm supposed to talk about when I tell you why that happens. Jack Canfield, one of my mentors, he used to prepare for a whole weekend seminar, and at every point, 9 o'clock with intro, 9:10 we're doing this, and so on and so forth. And what he used to talk about is he has everything down, and it's very specific, and it's very logical, and it's all planned, it's very, thought out, and it's important to have structure and planning. And Brian Tracy used to talk about the fact that if you're well prepared and you know your subject matter and you're prepared and you know what you're going to talk about and you have it all set up, and the key is if you know your subject matter, you're going to come across as an authority. You're going to come across as someone that knows your subject matter, and therefore you're not going to get nervous, or you're not going to feel like, well, I can't really talk about this. You're going to feel like you can talk about the subject because you're authority and you've prepared yourself and you've done your homework. Okay? But Jack used to say that with all of that, you have to speak into the listening of the audience. In other words, the seminars that he did was usually 200 or 300 people. So he would talk and just maybe even go off on something completely different than he had planned, but it was appropriate to what he called the listening of the audience, So this might sound really weird, but I can also do that with the videos. I may have something planned out right now. I'm going to tell you all about this, and boom, it went in a completely different direction, because what I'm actually doing is I'm speaking into the listening of the audience, which really sounds far off, because really I don't really have much of an audience right now, real time. Nine subscribers, a few handful of views. So if it's speaking into a larger audience, it's a larger audience into the future, okay? Which means I'm speaking into the listening of an audience 5 years from now, a year from now. or whatever I'm saying will speak to that audience. They're in my future. This sounds really weird, but that's what he's talking about. But back to the point about my present, what's really happening, and then how it has to do with my story. Okay, I started with CRST trucking, and as a student, went to school, 10 days of school. I got my license in 10 days when I was a trainer, and then went out and worked for CRST for 3 solid years as a team driver. One of my team drivers, who I got along really well, his name Robert. I'm still talking to him to this day. That was 9 years ago when I drove for CRST. We talk almost all the time. He's with another company, and we got along really well. Driving, he said I was one of the best drivers that he's ever been with, and that he always felt really safe when he was in the back sleeping when I was driving, and I always knew where I was going, what I was doing. I wasn't going to screw up. So that's another whole huge subject, teaming versus solo. It's something I can talk about in greater detail. So I'm already getting into 5 minutes, and I haven't even talked about this subject I forgot to talk to you about. It's related to this. Okay. I wasn't consciously looking for this, but I happened to see a Facebook post, a night advertisement, with the company I work for, that was advertising for positions for teams. Okay. I'm super qualified for this because, number one, I've been with Knight for 9 years. I have a track record with Knight of over 600,000 miles. Okay. And previous to Knight, I did do teams for 3 solid years. And I did teams a whole bunch of different co-drivers. Robert just happened to be one of many. So I understand the lifestyle, the process, sharing a truck, everything about it. It's not like brand new. So when I saw this advertisement to potentially the truck that me and my partner would be, and my co-driver would make $188,000 a year, almost $200,000 a year split, I thought, well, why not check into it? So, bottom line is I called a recruiter who referred me to a lead recruiter who referred me to the person who actually was in charge of this Cummins account, and I talked to him at length. He was a Knight employee, it's a Knight company, and I told him my qualifications, and he more or less said, I've got the job if I want it. But the job is teams, so I called my friend Robert and asked him if he'd be interested. I haven't heard back from him, and I don't know if he's actually would want to do it, because he has a pretty sweet job right now that pays almost as much, but he only stays in California and he's solo with his own truck. But we got along really well, and we talked about maybe someday we could team up. Well, I checked into it, I talked to the guy. He pretty much said, if Robert wants to do it with me, and I decide I want to do it, they need 11 teams, and I pretty much have the job if I want. And he was going through the figures, and we would individually, Robert and me individually, with our bonuses and stuff, we'd make about $109,000 a year. So the point with this whole drawn-out story, it's just kind of interesting. Robert and I were talking about how it'd be an interesting story because I could be coming full circle back to the same thing that I did at the beginning with CRST, except that I wouldn't have to leave Knight. I would still be with Knight. The only sad part would be I wouldn't be out of Phoenix, I'd be out of Memphis. And I would lose that connection with Madeline and all the stuff I have with Phoenix. And I said, well, what happened? We're based in Phoenix, but Robert lives in San Diego. And, obviously, I live in the Phoenix area, or how would that work? He said, well, it's no big deal. We just route you, they can literally route us to the Fontana yard, which is 80 miles from Encinitas. And Robert could, ironically, that when Robert and I drove together, we were based in CRST's terminal in Fontana. So basically, we could come full circle. We could drive the truck back to Fontana. He'd drive to San Diego where he lives. I could potentially even live in Encinitas with making that kind of money. I would have 4 days off a month like before. It's hard to pass up, now that's gross. Net would be less, obviously, but it would be almost $40,000 or almost double what I make now. So it's tempting. But I haven't heard back from Robert. I have to find out from Robert how he feels about, because he wants to stay in Southern California. And I told the guy I was talking to, I said, I don't want to chain. I don't want to deal with bad weather. He said, we're not going to force you to chain up, but we do go. And I said, you're saying it's dedicated. It would be nice to know what the dedicated is. In other words, right now I get loads that are anywhere and everywhere. Dedicated means almost like the Winco load, where they put us on a load that's going from like Tampa, Florida to Southern California, and then back to Tampa, and it's back and forth on the 10 Southern route. So we know what we're doing, and we just go do that dedicated, do. It could change. That's all we do, and we pretty much do what we used to do. Teams has some advantages, and I've just already been 10 minutes. You have a company of somebody else, you can get along. And also, Robert could actually shoot videos, and he'd be on board, and he'd be part of the story, So it's interesting. And it's just kind of crazy. It is a reality. It could happen. He said to arrange it to where maybe it could happen in a month. Now, Michael, my driver manager, when I told him, he said, that's not happening. We're going to make you a counteroffer. We don't want you to leave, our terminal. So I haven't heard from Madeline, but I don't know if they can make a counteroffer to match that. So that's kind of it's a positive problem, because the point is I need to make as much money as I can in the next 2, 3, 4 years that I'm working. And if I save $37,000 on the salary, man, I can't imagine what I could do if I was making almost $100,000 or something like that a year. And it's more of the level of what you would make as an owner-operator, but without all the liability. So that's the thing I forgot to talk about. So, as much as I've got this crazy, Grasshopper, we have the Star Fleet driving to Tokyo team we got to put together. I have that guy. I have a real grounded person inside. I have multiple personalities. Really? Yeah, really. Anyways, this is all. It's kind of interesting, though. You have to admit, good to me. Okay, now, folks, we're shifting gears now. I'm going back to drive with my past co-driver, Robert, with Knight, but we're going to be doing dedicated, and I'll make $100,000 a year. It's hard to pass up. It's going to give me more money to buy cameras and more stuff, and we're going to be traveling all over, and Madeline and Knight's maybe going to make me a counteroffer. It's just, okay, there goes that thing again, dude. Come on, man. You just do that all the time. I know. I go, yeah, that's my anchor. You told me that's my anchor, dude. Yeah, it is. Okay. That's the thing I forgot to talk about.